Part 2. In the first two episodes, the central romance is very disorienting for both characters. Neither of them seem to be in a place where they feel they can be emotionally vulnerable with each other. Even the physicality of their early, we'll call them interactions, have a very, I want this, but I'm still trying to assert dominance because that scares me a lot, which may not be super healthy, but dang, is that hot to watch. I have to say, the bit with the text message at the end of episode 2 absolutely broke me. It was so well executed. Shane allows himself to be quite vulnerable, but for various reasons, he leaves feeling devalued. And that's where we leave him for a while. The audience gets to sit in this awful feeling, in this incredibly disoriented place. Where he was trying to move toward reorientation with Ilya, that doesn't happen. Everything in that scene was perfect. And then the show does something brilliant. In episode 3, rather than just having another episode with Shane and Ilya in mutual disorientation, the show takes a break and tells an interwoven but largely separate story with Scott, who we've seen as a background character previously, and his romantic interest, the world's hottest smoothie artist with a thing for bananas. The show compresses Shane and Kip's relationship primarily into one episode. It again starts with how things are for Scott before meeting Kip, but the disorientation they experience is much more fun, much brighter, less fraught. In fact, we, the audience, might see it as this perfect, wonderful fantasy. Hot closeted hockey player meets hot guy who can work a blender and looks great in glasses. In this case, the conflict is mostly coming from Scott's anxiety about being caught as the gay, which is really a valid fear. And I've actually seen a lot of people act as if Scott's anxiety about coming out isn't valid, which is wild as someone who came out in the mid 2000s. Like, it hasn't been that long since everyone was terrified to come out. Nowadays, you ask people how it was coming out, and like sometimes it's still horrible, but sometimes they're like, people threw me a party, and I just want to strangle them. It's supposed to be traumatic. The internet these days seems to have never met a lesbian who found out what she was on a camping trip with her gal pals after already being married to a dude. Anyway, so the break in episode 3 is brilliant on so many levels. It lets the audience know that there is hope in this show that we haven't been exposed to yet. It gives us a foreshadowing of a bright happiness that Shane and Ilya are not ready for in their character journeys, and it also positions them as not just a one-off. It acknowledges that there have been many hockey players before who wanted to be open and honest about who they could love, but weren't able to. Scott and Kip's relationship hits a relational level that we as fans hope Shane and Ilya can get to, even though the episode leaves Scott and Kip in a place where there is still major conflict. Everything is not rainbows and sunshine yet, but overall, their episode is so much more wholesome and emotionally accessible, while still, spicy enough that I had a great time. It sets a bar of hope for the audience.